Isn't it true that the notion of God is simply a projection of our own cultural circumstances? For example, if you were brought up in Pakistan, you might well call yourself a Muslim, as my parents were. If you were brought up in India, you might call yourself a Hindu or a Sikh. Mm-hmm. These are projections out of the natural culture in which people live. In your book, you're saying, well, actually, the creative order of things points at God. I'm suggesting to you that actually God is a projection ourselves from our own cultural circumstances. Isn't that true?
Well, then, no, and here's the reason why. If somebody says to me, if you were born in Madagascar, you wouldn't even be a Christian, which is basically what you just said. Therefore, how can you say that your position has, Christianity has more validity than any other position? But I could turn to the person and say, if you were born in Madagascar, you wouldn't be a religious relativist. That is to say, you wouldn't have the view you are espousing right now if you were born in Madagascar. Does that make the view you are espousing right now wrong? No. In other words, what you propose proves too much. Peter Berger says in Relativizing the Relativizers what you actually just said. He said he was one of the founders of the Sociology of Knowledge school. And the Sociology of Knowledge says largely we believe what we believe because of our social plausibility structures. That is, we're surrounded by people who also we admire and we need, and they all believe this, and therefore that makes that belief plausible.
And also, there's the transmission of knowledge through generations in a similar social circumstance.
Right. Now, here's what he says then. He says, once you decide that all beliefs are, to a great degree, socially constructed, you have to realize that that belief must be not immune to what you just said. That is, that belief must be to a great degree socially constructed. I'm an academic, he was saying, I live in a certain milieu, I've got all kinds of other people that I admire and respect, so he says, as soon as you realize that the idea that all views are relative, would also be relative, that all views are socially constructed is also socially constructed, we're back to square one. We're chastened. We now know, of course, yes, we've got to be careful. It's hard to find the truth, but the fact is we're back to square one. We still have to decide which of all these competing claims is more reasonable than any other. And so we may not be as haughty now, but we still have to make that decision. And you can't say, because I was raised in a particular culture, that therefore all things are relative. That very view, of course, would be relative, and therefore back to square one.